On September 15, 2025, the quiet town of Commerce, Georgia, was jolted awake by an event that would ripple far beyond its borders. The SK-On battery plant, a symbol of U.S. South Korea economic ties and a source of local pride, was suddenly swarmed by federal agents in the early morning hours. Workers, confused and anxious, were ordered away from their stations as the production lines ground to a halt, the hum of industry replaced by tense silence. The raid, officially citing trade violations, felt to many like a hostile takeover rather than a routine legal procedure, casting a shadow over the entire operation. For South Korean executives, who had invested years building trust and cooperation, it was a profound shock, one that left them reeling and searching for answers. This wasn't just a raid on a factory, it was a raid on a relationship, a blow to the spirit of partnership that had been carefully nurtured over decades. The U.S. and South Korea, allies for over 70 years, now faced a new and unexpected strain, their shared history suddenly overshadowed by suspicion. South Korean officials, stunned and deeply concerned, questioned the safety and reliability of their partnership with the United States. The raid sent shockwaves all the way to Seoul, threatening decades of trust and cooperation between the two nations. Under the Trump administration, even the closest allies could suddenly find themselves treated as adversaries, their loyalty and intentions called into question. The very foundation of the alliance was shaking, as if years of friendship could be undone in a single morning. The message was clear: no partnership, no matter how long-standing, was truly safe from suspicion or disruption. The event threatened to unravel years of carefully built trust, leaving both sides to wonder if the pieces could ever fit together again. It raised a terrifying question: was their partnership truly secure, or was it always just one crisis away from collapse? The raid felt like a public humiliation, a political message broadcast not just to South Korea, but to the world. The alliance's foundation was now in question, its future uncertain, as both nations faced the daunting task of rebuilding trust. To truly grasp the shock and pain caused by the Georgia raid, we must take a step back and revisit the long, intertwined history between the United States and South Korea. This alliance, forged in the crucible of war, has endured for generations, weathering countless storms together. The presence of American troops in Korea stands as a living symbol of a promise kept, a steadfast deterrent against northern aggression, and a reassurance of unwavering support. This security partnership has laid the foundation for a thriving economic relationship, one that has only grown stronger over the decades. With U.S. support, South Korea transformed from a war-torn nation into a global economic powerhouse, its cities now shining examples of modern prosperity. Trade between the two nations is immense, supporting millions of jobs and fueling innovation on both sides of the Pacific. Beyond economics, cultural ties have blossomed, creating bridges of understanding and friendship. K-pop, Korean cinema, and cuisine have not only enriched American culture, but have also brought people closer, sparking new connections and shared experiences. For many South Koreans, the United States is seen as both a protector and a trusted friend, a relationship built on mutual respect. This deep reservoir of goodwill has long been a valuable asset for U.S. foreign policy in Asia, strengthening America's influence in the region. The alliance is built on shared values: democracy, free markets, and a commitment to order and stability. South Korea has proven to be a dependable ally, consistently supporting U.S. initiatives and standing shoulder to shoulder in times of need. That's why the Trump administration's recent actions feel, to many, like a deep betrayal of trust in history. Tariffs and harsh rhetoric have not just strained economic ties, they have assaulted the very spirit of this enduring partnership. The recent tensions are more than just political disagreements, they are tragic, threatening to unravel a historic alliance that has benefited both nations. The alliance was never just transactional. At its heart, it has always been about shared values, mutual sacrifice, and a vision for a better future together. The relationship between the United States and South Korea began to sour well before the Georgia raid made headlines, starting with a noticeable shift in Washington's tone and approach to its long-standing allies. Under President Trump, the America First agenda redefined alliances, treating them less as partnerships and more as transactional deals. Even loyal allies like South Korea suddenly found themselves recast as competitors rather than trusted friends. Trump demanded that Seoul pay significantly more for the continued presence of U.S. troops, putting unprecedented strain on the alliance and sparking public protests. Trade tensions soon followed, with the U.S. imposing tariffs on South Korean goods, igniting a trade war that rippled through both economies. South Korean officials were left bewildered and frustrated by these sudden and aggressive demands, struggling to understand the shifting priorities. Diplomatic meetings grew increasingly tense as South Korea found itself repeatedly defending its investments and contributions to the U.S. economy. In response, SK Group, one of South Korea's largest conglomerates, pledged over $50 billion in U.S. investments, hoping to demonstrate goodwill and commitment. The new Georgia plant became a powerful symbol of cooperation, providing thousands of American jobs and deepening economic ties between the two nations. Yet, despite these efforts, the Trump administration viewed such investments as mere leverage, using them to justify even more demands from South Korea. The rhetoric from Washington remained hostile, with frequent threats of additional tariffs and punitive measures, keeping tensions high. The factory raid in Georgia was the culmination of this escalating pressure, a dramatic event that sent shockwaves through both governments. It made clear that even massive investments and job creation could not guarantee fair or respectful treatment for South Korean companies. The message was brutal and unmistakable. Loyalty and partnership did not ensure safety or stability in this new era. Decades of carefully nurtured trust and cooperation between the two countries were being systematically dismantled piece by piece. The raid served as a stark reminder of the administration's hardline approach, leaving many to question the future of the alliance. The trust that had taken generations to build was now visibly eroding, replaced by uncertainty and suspicion on both sides. The SK factory raid was a calculated move for maximum impact. Allegations of technology sharing violations were cited. Such disputes are usually civil matters, not federal raids. The use of law enforcement was an unprecedented escalation. For South Korea, it was a national insult. Imagine if South Korea raided a U.S. factory over a business dispute. The raid was seen as intimidation, a power play for concessions. It confirmed fears that the U.S. no longer respected them as partners. The public display of force was humiliating. South Korean media erupted with outrage. Politicians united in condemnation, demanding explanations. The raid damaged South Korea's trust in the U.S. as a safe investment. The U.S. was seen as the gold standard for rule of law. The raid shattered that perception, introducing political risk. South Korean companies are reconsidering U.S. investments. The raid forced a re-evaluation of America as a reliable partner. The Georgia raid's immediate victims were American workers. Over 3,000 people relied on the SK factory. The plant promised stable, well-paying jobs in a high-tech industry. The raid shut down hopes for an entire community. It sent a chilling message to American workers at foreign companies. Over 8 million Americans work for foreign companies. These companies invest in the U.S. for its stability and fairness. The raid made foreign companies nervous about their U.S. operations. The community of Commerce, Georgia, felt betrayed. Local leaders had worked hard to bring the factory there. The raid undermined the credibility of American governance. Attracting a multi-billion-dollar factory takes years of effort. The SK plant was a massive win for Georgia. Now it stands as a warning to other international companies. The human cost is measured in lost opportunities and shattered dreams. The Georgia raid is part of a larger pattern threatening the U.S. economy. The U.S. is the world's largest recipient of foreign direct investment. Allies like Japan, Germany, and South Korea are major investors. Trump's policies risk this system by treating allies as rivals. The SK case exemplifies this risk. The company planned to invest another $20 billion in the U.S. Those plans are now on hold, affecting future jobs. Existing operations are also at risk if the U.S. is seen as hostile. Companies may choose more welcoming countries for investment. The America First policy could lead to America finishing last. We are replacing the rule of law with political pressure. This creates uncertainty, and business hates uncertainty. Capital flows to where it is treated best. By alienating reliable investors, we risk long-term decline. The short-term political gain could lead to decades of economic pain. The potential economic damage is staggering. As the U.S. pushes allies away, China watches with interest. China aims to increase its global influence through economic might. American alliances have been a barrier to China's ambitions. The Trump administration's actions weaken this network. Hostility toward South Korea sends a message to other nations. America's friendship appears conditional and unreliable. China offers partnerships based on economic benefits. South Korea, feeling betrayed, may find China appealing. South Korean business delegations are exploring opportunities in China. If U.S. markets seem risky, China is a logical alternative. A shift towards China would be a double loss for the U.S. The long-term consequences for American security are profound. Our alliance with South Korea is crucial for Indo-Pacific strategy. A drift towards Beijing would alter the balance of power in Asia. It would be a strategic victory for China without firing a shot. The U.S. risks driving allies into the arms of rivals. The Georgia events bring the U.S. to a critical crossroads. The raid was more than a trade dispute, it reflects a larger problem. America's foreign policy now prizes short-term tactics over alliances. Trust, the foundation of global leadership, is being eroded. The SK on plant story is a warning of viewing partners with suspicion. South Korea stood with the U.S. on security and invested billions. In return, it faced contempt and public humiliation. This approach isolates America on the world stage. Allies wonder if they could be next, questioning America's friendship. Adversaries like China and Russia see an opportunity. They aim to build a new world order, less democratic and US-led. The damage may take decades to repair, if at all. What kind of country do we want to be? Do we honor commitments or view relationships as zero-sum games? The path of alienating partners is lonely and dangerous. Can America remain great if it stands alone?